Hey guys, and welcome to the new episode of Automated Sir podcast. Today I have a special guest, Ritu Java. Hi Ritu, how are you?
Hello, Jacob. How are you? So happy to be here.
Great, doing great. Thank you. So Ritu, I know that you're a CEO of a PPC Ninja, which is the Amazon agency, but on the same hand, basically you have your own software. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that and yourself, and how did you actually start it even?
Yeah, that's a great start. So yeah, we started PPC Ninja in 2019, and it was created first as a software to serve the Amazon community and help them with their ads. It was a pretty simple software back then. Since then, it has evolved quite a bit. And I think in the initial days, we had this challenge that people didn't know PPC well enough. So, even though we had the software, they would still need to understand the fundamentals. They needed to understand how to run PPC and how to take advantage of our software, which is, pretty interactive. Like it allows you to interact with your data in amazing ways. And it's not like an AI one button, set it and forget it kind of thing. It requires a lot of setting, a lot of interaction, which is great because people like PPC managers or agencies, they have so much more control of their data. And so we started at that same time, we started running mastermind groups to help educate people about
Mm-hmm.
PPC. So it became like a mission to kind of share as much information as possible about the whole idea of PPC, what are good practices, what are bad practices. Actually, there's a lot of controversial topics as well. So we engaged on some of those just so that we could bring everybody, you know, to start thinking about these things and to say, okay, this is one way. What about this other way? And is there a middle ground? Or what's the best way? What results are people seeing? So we started that education piece through masterminds. And then we were requested by our sellers and other people in the industry to help manage their accounts because they're
Okay.
like, okay, all this is great, but could you just manage it for us? PPC is very
So
hard.
you created a software, then you created a mastermind, and then actually
Yeah,
the agency services. That's crazy,
yeah,
right? That actually
yeah.
this started like
Mhm.
this, not the other way around. That's usually how it starts.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the agency is actually doing very well right now. We're getting so much inbound, like we don't even need to advertise. It's all word of mouth or just,
Hmm.
inbound from people inquiring about our services. The reason also is that, PPC is hard and things are changing all the time. And, a lot of sellers would rather spend a little bit of money, outsource their PPC to an agency that's purely focused on PPC day in and day out, rather than invest their own time and energy and effort in trying to learn this stuff that's always changing, always evolving.
Yeah.
So the advantage an agency has is that we have access to so much more data and we can quickly arrive at conclusions about what's working, what's not working, and we can pass on that benefit of our experiments on to our clients. So that actually works out really good for both. So yeah, that's how we've kind of evolved, from software to
Yeah.
education to services.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Also, I mean, we've built some softwares for agencies, and I just know that once the agency has its own software, it's really powerful. I mean, first of all, it's a great asset for the agency. This is also like what we tell like our clients when they actually think about investing. Second of all, this is their tool. They can actually, like, every business is kind of different, right? Even though you're running the Amazon agency, every Amazon agency in the end is different. You have people to manage, you have ways of doing the business. So once you have your software, then of course you know what you are doing, and you don't you can keep your own processes. You don't have to actually learn the new software and set up all of the processes according to it. I know there are great softwares out there, but again, this is a little bit different approach. And also, you know your numbers, and you don't have to pay the ad spend for the software, which in the end could be really a huge amount of dollars actually, like that you have to
Yeah.
spend on it, especially when you are managing bigger clients. So yeah, like there's a lot of great software out there. I think a lot of them are a little bit I don't know how to say, like too powerful for a lot of agencies. Like you don't really
Yeah.
need that much of the power. You don't need that complex AI. You're usually good to go with simple logic. So I love the story, but I would love to learn a little bit more of the background as well, because I mean, you just said that, yeah, okay, we built the tool, but actually I would love to know a little bit of your background before that, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if you started selling on Amazon or you had like e-commerce store. Like what got
Mhm.
you actually to the position when suddenly you start building the tool?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually started my e-commerce journey as an Etsy seller. This was over
Okay.
10 years ago. Yeah, so that was my first kind of foray into e-commerce. And I realized that, just having a good product is not enough. I used to sell jewelry, and, I thought my product was pretty good, and I had good images. I had
But that was a brand, right? Or reseller?
no, brand, my own.
Brand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So created like a lot of listings, and created a lot of great images, literally taught myself everything about a business, how to take product photography, how to write good listings, how to actually create like a YouTube channel to
Mm-hmm.
promote,
Oh,
an interest
nice.
for, this kind of stuff. Created a Facebook community. So basically I had to teach myself like everything, all aspects of marketing, of running a business, shipping, all that stuff. However, the challenge was that it's not easy. Like just because you have a listing or even a great one, visibility is the biggest challenge. And that's how I got very interested in advertising. Like, how do you get in front of your ideal shopper?
Mm-hmm.
Even websites are not enough. Like websites generally have a very poor conversion rate, almost like 1% or 2% at best. So even if you send traffic to your website,
You mean website like a custom, like standalone e-commerce shop,
yeah,
like built on Shopify, right? Okay.
Shopify, let's say
Yeah.
Shopify, right? Or yeah, any kind of website that has information about your products. It's very hard to generate traffic that is interested. There's a billion plus websites out there. Like, how do you get
Yeah.
discoverability? That's the challenge, right? So that wasn't gonna work. So anyway, so I decided to go back to school. I'm an engineer by background. I did my engineering a long time ago, but then I thought, okay, this is my chance to kind of go back and formally study data science. So I enrolled in a course in data science
Mm-hmm.
for a year, and did that in Seattle. I actually used to live in Japan way back then when I was as an Etsy seller. I was selling as an Etsy seller from Japan. And then once I reached Seattle, I kind of, did my course and then stumbled upon Amazon and I looked at the conversion rates on Amazon. I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. The
Mm-hmm.
conversion rate on Amazon is averaging around 10%, some even better than that. So why would I choose a 1% over a 10%? It just
Oh yeah.
doesn't make sense. The math was just telling me 10% is the way to go.
Yes.
So I realized that the best ROI you can get from Amazon advertising, and there's no reason to not jump into that space. So I did. I jumped into that space, and I started working on ads, and then, fast
But
forward to
you
today.
basically moved your brand to Amazon from Etsy, or you
No,
just completely started from
yeah,
scratch?
no, I shut down my brand
Okay.
back then. It served its purpose. It did its education and everything.
Yeah.
But now I only work with other brands. I only help them
Mm-hmm.
on Amazon and help them grow profitably. That's kind
Yeah.
of our mantra, to help deliver profitable growth. Because it's not enough to just have
Mm-hmm.
growth, and you need your profits as well. So profitable growth is what we strive for, and all of our strategies, all of our techniques, as well as our software is geared towards profitable growth.
Yes. So I really wonder what was your thought process, because yes, you did the course. You actually realized, okay, Amazon is a golden opportunity. There's a huge conversion rate. I'll get into the ads on that. But at which point actually you thought about building the software? I mean, I'm really curious, like, have you found some problems in the community already and you thought that, okay, so software will automate it and solve those issues? Or how was that? Like, this actually clicked at your mind that you said, all right, I need to build this software.
Right. Yeah. So, so I don't own the software. It's like a group. There's a three people founders that
Hmm.
we got together and did it. So it was like it seemed like a no brainer
Hmm.
to create this company. And yeah, so I think the thought process was already kind of there. I just fit in nicely with the group of three, and it just worked out that way. So
Okay.
we're all aligned on helping and serving the Amazon community.
Awesome, awesome. And now
Yeah.
talking about Amazon community,
Yeah.
I know that there was a huge event recently. By the at least by the time speaking, because this podcast will be released in 2 months. But yeah, there was an Amazon Accelerate event. I know that you had a great speech there. There was a huge line actually waiting for your talk. So you're actually a leader in the industry in the community. And I also wanted to ask you actually how come, right? Like, how did you end up going to those conferences, become like a well-known leader, speaker? How did it happen?
Yeah, it's interesting that I started speaking. I was a very shy person. Like I wouldn't even put my face in front of the camera. This is
A
2020.
software engineer, right?
Yeah, I was down and on my desk, and I don't I was so afraid of the camera. So this is 2020, and then when I started my first mastermind group, I realized, hey, it's not so bad. The first mastermind group was attended by 6 people, just six, and it was a small Zoom call that I just somehow got an email list and I sent out like I said, hey, if anyone's interested, I'm going to do a free mastermind. And, so people, they signed up for it. And generally the show up rate for anything, any kind of
Hmm.
webinar or whatever is about 40%. So yes, I got about 20 signups and about 6 people showed up. So I was happy. I was like, oh my goodness, 6 people showed up.
Yeah.
And then that kind of was the starting point, honestly, for all the talks. And then after I finished that 6 week mastermind, I was like, okay, I can do it again. And I did it again and then again and again. And at this point, I've done 32 masterminds already.
Hmm.
So this was just all of this content is free. And we
You
keep
recorded
running.
all of that and then posted somewhere.
We do not. That's our rule. We do not post it anywhere,
Okay.
and we do not give any recordings out. The
Okay.
reason is that the engagement will absolutely drop if I
Hmm.
just give it out as
Yeah.
content. I don't want. I want the
Got it.
engagement. I wanted people to be openly sharing their
Hmm.
troubles, their concerns, their wins
Oh yeah.
freely without it being exposed to the world.
Got it.
So it remains in the group, and it's only and not even shared with each of them. It's just recorded for our own purposes, but we don't
Hmm.
give that information out and stuff like that. So
Totally.
masterminds was actually the entry point into speaking,
Yeah.
and then got an opportunity to speak on the stage, and then got an opportunity to speak at another stage, and
Oh,
one thing led
nice.
to the other, and then started this whole movement of like just sharing content, like.
Hmm.
And then Amazon actually reached out to me for the Accelerate conference.
Oh wow.
And that's how I got to speak at Amazon. I post a lot on LinkedIn and, freely share any tests that I run, any topics that are of interest to me, anything that I realize is happening on Amazon. I kind of
Hmm.
post about that. So, yeah, and I don't necessarily, I'm not like aggressive on LinkedIn. Like, it's not like I have to send out one post every day kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not it. I just do it in a natural sort of way. Whatever, is important, top of mind, I kind of go there and share it. So yeah, I'm not really concerned with like, getting thousands of followers or anything. I'm just doing my bit to help and serve
Hmm.
the community.
That's great. I think this is also the best way of really building the community and like just sharing really something that is valuable to the audience, to the people, something that can help. Like I also don't really like the gurus who are posting every single day about waking up at 5 a.m., grinding till the end of the day, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
there's too much of those guys on
too
LinkedIn,
much.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I should
exactly.
actually, yeah, that's great. And it's crazy that Amazon invited you to become a speaker in such a nice conference. So
Yeah,
congrats on that.
thank you.
Um, and yeah, yeah. So Ritu, I have one question now regarding the global expansion. So I know that you're running your business internationally. So obviously the software, this can be international without doubts, but
Yeah.
the agency services, you are serving clients from all around the world, so regions like Europe, North America, Japan, Australia. And I wanted to ask you about the PPC strategies, like overall advertising on those marketplaces. How is it like? Do they differ actually, or is it all like kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, they're very similar. Like
Mm-hmm.
Amazon has made all of the, you know, the platforms, all the markets use the same kind of logic, and it's very similar. There are exceptions, of course. Like for example, in Japan, the algorithm has to work a little bit differently because of
Mm-hmm.
how the language is structured. They have
Oh yeah.
4 scripts. So, you know, Amazon has evolved quite a bit and has been able to understand those 4 scripts by now. But
Mm-hmm.
there's still differences. So you need to kind of know those, you know, script differences. Also in Japan, like the words are, you know, running into each other. So there's no spaces between the words. So how does the
Mm-hmm.
algorithm know the word has ended, new word has started? There's no kind of space. So there's
Got it.
those sorts of differences that come from the language. But in terms of like general availability of all the different ad products, they're pretty much the same in most markets. Some new markets might be using an older version of whatever we see in the new markets,
Mm-hmm.
in the established markets. Uh, but those are small, and we can usually know very quickly that this works, this doesn't work. To give you
Mm-hmm.
an example, the auto campaign, right? Auto campaign has 4 targeting groups: close match, loose match, substitutes, and complements. But some of the new markets that Amazon has, you know, just kind of rolled out, they are still using the legacy auto campaign, which is kind of surprising to me. I would have thought they would transition everyone to the new auto campaign, but they haven't. So
Mm-hmm.
those sorts of differences, like small differences.
Okay.
Or let's say in Canada, you don't have posts, even though US has posts. Maybe some beta users have posts, but not everybody does. So yeah, there's little differences, and it's just a matter of finding out those and just changing your strategy
Mm-hmm.
accordingly. Yeah.
Got it. Understand. And now for actually the, I don't know how to name it, maybe expansion services or something like this. Do you actually also guide your clients on like, okay, now you actually grew, now you are selling a lot on like US market. It's time for you to consider other marketplaces, and we'll help you out with the expansion. Do you also do those kind of services?
We only have an exception for Japan because I have a
Mm-hmm.
background there. I used to live in Japan, so
Okay.
I understand the market. So yeah, I think Japan is probably the only place where we help with expansion. We also have like a
Mm-hmm.
full partnership worked out in
Okay.
Japan. So we help people from, you know, the beginning till the end. And not all of it is done by PPC Ninja. Some of those steps are done by our partners, but because we worked it all out, the timeline and the partnerships, it's easy for people to say, okay, let's work with PPC Ninja and their partners. We also worked out some discounts and things like that so that they get a better deal with working
Mm-hmm.
with us on that. But we essentially are focused on advertising. And in order to help them with advertising, they have to first be in that market.
Be there.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
I
So
was
that,
thinking if this is something that works both ways, right? I mean, if you
yeah.
are growing some company and it is doing pretty well, I thought that you may also like suggest expanding to other marketplaces, because in the end, if someone adds marketplaces to its portfolio and you can manage them, it's also a business for you, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, we mention it whenever we can.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, sellers have a pretty good idea of like where they want to go next. You know, like people
Okay.
in the U.S. generally look to Canada and Mexico first before they jump the pond and go to Europe. Europe
Mm-hmm.
also has some challenges with VAT and you know,
Yeah.
regulatory stuff that needs to be, you know, first cleared before they can even start selling. And then Japan has hurdles like language and stuff like that. So yeah, wherever you know, our customers feel comfortable in expanding, you know, we
Mm-hmm.
basically add extra value in terms of our knowledge, but we don't necessarily say, hey, now you should do this. That's generally not our call. as much as it is theirs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
understand. Now I want to ask you more about your one-on-one coaching and then the mastermind, right? Like I really overall love the way you are running the business because it really seems like a whole ecosystem, right? I mean, here you have a software, here you have the agency which works with the clients, and at the same time you actually educate people in the community. So this all kind of really seems like a nice working ecosystem. So let's focus on this. You already mentioned that you have those private calls with the community, right? The mastermind group. Could you tell a little bit more about it? Like what exactly is it? How this works? Who can join?
Yeah. So the mastermind group is open to sellers who have some amount of sales coming in through PPC already. So it's not for the absolute newbies. It's not for someone who's never done advertising before. It assumes that you are past the initial hurdles of campaign setup or understanding what is a sponsored product ad or a sponsored brand ad. So you have to be past that stage in order to take advantage of like the conversations, because otherwise you'll be like lost. So that's the only criteria we have. And then the other criteria is that we work with sellers, and we're not necessarily doing this for like VAs or agencies. It's mostly for sellers. In some cases, like sellers tell us, hey, can I send my VA? She's my main person or he's my main person, in which case we'll be fine with that. But for the most part, it's a community for sellers. And then the other thing is once people have finished one round of mastermind, they are also welcome to join again. So what ends up happening is that people sign up over and over again for the same content, which is kind of interesting because the content is the same. Like we have a 4-week program where we talk about different aspects of advertising. And everyone knows this, like everybody knows that this is what we're going to cover, but they still keep coming back, which is like a great way of staying in touch with what's
Definitely.
latest, as well as.
I mean, you can come back and ask new questions, right? So I think there's a
Exactly.
lot of value in that.
Yeah, there's new flavors to the same conversation that are useful and helpful. So I have people coming back 6 times, 7 times even at this point. So I'm like, hey,
Wow.
it's the same content. You don't have to come back. But they're like, no, we want to come back. So that's good. It's good that we, have a community that stays with us. And then we've also created a Telegram group to go with that. So, all these people then join the Telegram group and they continue to ask questions. Some of them are using our software already. So they ask those kind of questions as well. And just in general, like any PPC related things, they're very helpful. They help each other out as well. I jump in as much as I can. So there's interaction on the Telegram group almost every other day. There's someone or the other asking some question. So it's a healthy kind of balance we have there. And then in terms of like one-on-one coaching, I don't do that anymore. I used to, but I ran out of time. Unfortunately, I only have 24 hours, and I have so much to do. And so I don't do coaching anymore. On some exceptional cases, I might ask someone from my team to help someone, maybe for a paid coaching session for a few weeks, but that's about it. It's not like a full-blown coaching practice.
Got it, totally. Yeah, it's really great to have such a community and those masterminds. It kind of reminds me of the times I used to work for one, like a bootcamp company. They are actually pretty wild on YouTube. They have more than 1 million subscribers, and they had like the online course. And I used to be like a Python programming, like which is the programming language coach. And I had my own students, and every week I was just jumping on a call with them, giving them homeworks, revising, like checking actually what they did, what they learned, teaching them new concepts. So then I really felt attached also to them. So that's amazing. And I wish we had it right now, but it's extremely hard actually for the software business when we are not actually really helping sellers to sell on Amazon, right? Because our business is a little bit different. We build tools, but we don't really help them to sell, right? So you have to be already experienced, and then like it would be quite weird if we gather all of the people and just talk about software. Like they usually don't care; they just want the software, but they don't
Right.
care
Yeah.
about the tech. So,
Yeah. Makes
but yeah,
sense.
maybe we'll figure this out at some point, and something like this will work. I mean, it's just my
Right.
dream to create such a community and yeah, answer their questions and concerns and everything. But that's great. Now I wanted to talk a little bit more about your software, and maybe if you could compare it, because you already said it's actually quite simple compared to also like those huge advanced AI tools, and you have more control. So I wanted to touch a little bit on this topic. So especially right now, I mean, at Amazon Accelerate, but also other conferences, there's more and more of those tools that they pretty much, I mean, the companies, they are saying, okay, we have this advanced AI algorithm for running your ads, so you don't have to do nothing. And now you're the ad expert. You're also, as you said, I mean, now expert into data science. So AI is in the end very connected to data science. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't really know it, especially now in the AI boom. They think that it's just magical AI, but no, this is
Right.
all data. This is all like math and like models and so on. So I just wanted to ask you about this trend and about what do you think overall about those tools that they claim to run your ads on autopilot, optimize, and pretty much do everything for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, so yeah, first of all, I think it's important for everyone to understand that that's not true AI. It's definitely a lot of algorithms mixed in with a little bit of AI, maybe some sort of machine learning models and stuff like that. But when you look at automation, campaign creation in bulk, with just giving like just a click of a button, it sounds all magical and everything, but I've talked to people who have consumed that sort of software, and then realized that it's not perfect. Like there's so many irrelevant campaigns created. There's like
Mm-hmm.
thousands of campaigns created that just hang around, and it creates like a little bit of a maintenance overhead. Just looking at all those campaigns, I'm definitely not against the idea of
Mm-hmm.
creating a lot of campaigns, because the more control you have over like single keywords and things like that, the better it is, for managing the outcomes. But with that said, like, can you actually create 1,000 campaigns per ASIN? It's a little unrealistic. Plus, you're going to hit your caps at some point. So for small sellers, it might be okay. Large sellers, probably, not at some point. But anyway, just talking about our software in comparison to the AIs, the so-called AI softwares. So our software gives you a fully transparent view into your ad data. So, I like to say that it's like Excel on steroids, because if you understand bulk files, then you will love our software, because our software does not require you to download a file and then create filters and then put macros on that. You don't need to do any of that, but you have the same flexibility in a UI format. So imagine having a UI with a sheet or like a view with only campaigns, another view with only keywords across every single
Mm-hmm.
campaign, another view with only targets, every single target, and so on. So we have a lot of these views that you can take action on, so they're fully
Yeah.
actionable. You can set filters and say, hey, find me all my targets that have an ACoS greater than X%, or find me all the campaigns that have an ACoS less than some percent, so I can do like a bulk operation and change the
Mm-hmm.
placement modifiers on those from X to Y. Or I could change all of their bidding strategies from, let's say, down only to up and down, because they're doing so great. So a lot of filters, a lot of bulk actions all at once, it makes it so easy for anyone who knows what they're doing. But let's say
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you're doing, and you just want a software that can give you bid recommendations. Well, we have the right tools for that as well. So people who don't want to do all of this, manipulation of keyword bids and stuff like that, we have a bid optimizer that gives you bid recommendations daily. And
Mm-hmm.
these are not changing your bids every day. It doesn't mean that your bids are changing every day for every keyword. It just means that based on data sufficiency, we're picking up those keywords that are ready. Once they are ready, they are shown on the view, and we calculate what should be the target bid. What is their current bid? What is their target bid? And in order to meet their target ACOS, and they can just go through that list and accept it, or they can just tell our software automatically accept everything. So we give them transparency, but we also give them the option to fully automate that bid optimization process. So that's a second kind of weight lifted off someone who is, like, let's say, not fully confident on what they should change. That's bid optimization. Then we also have other types of optimizations like budget optimization, placement optimization, and bidding strategy optimization. So there's 4 of those. Together with all of that, it's really convenient, and you can set them all to manual or auto. It's up to you. So if you do it in auto mode, you barely need to spend any time. All you need to focus on is picking the right keywords and making sure you start the campaigns that take care of everything. Now, for campaign creation, we have an automated sheet. It's a Google sheet that you can simply enter your keywords and your targets and say what average bid you want for them, and it will just generate the bulk file for you. It's like takes 5 minutes. You create a bulk file, you download it, and then you upload it to Amazon. That's it. So you can create large number of campaigns all at once simply by adding your list of keywords, and our automated sheet will split those keywords up into groups. No more than 15 keywords in a campaign. And we have a structure which is one campaign, one ad group, and then a bunch of keywords and one product. So we can specify that as well. So basically we support you on all aspects of PPC management with the flexibility of full transparency. And one of the things that I want to say, which is very different from everybody else on the market, is that our bid optimizer is based on data sufficiency, not time look back. So time look back is where people say, okay, download the last 15 days report and see whether the ACOS was good or bad or whatever. That method is 100% likely to be inaccurate. The reason is that in that 15-day look back window, you will have some fast moving keywords and some slow moving keywords. The fast moving keywords, you're already too late. 15 days is too much. On the slow moving keywords, you might not even have enough clicks to decide, and you might inaccurately or incorrectly say that this is a bad keyword just because it had 8 clicks. It doesn't mean that it's a bad keyword. It could have a low conversion rate, which means that you might need a little bit more clicks before the first conversion happens. So in our system, we actually look at time in terms of clicks. So we don't say how many days have elapsed, we say how many clicks have elapsed. And that's basically our secret sauce. And that's kind of the way we are able to predict correctly at the right time which keyword is ready for a bid change. We don't do it any sooner or later than it should be. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I like this approach. Yeah. Very nice. So I assume you also for your agency services, you are also using your own tool.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
That doesn't mean that we don't use other tools. We also use Helium 10 for keyword research, because our tool doesn't have keyword research. So we use that for our keyword. We also use Data Dive, which is another intelligent tool that gives you information about which keywords to go after.
Yep.
So we do use a few. We also use Keepa for price tracking, things like that. So yeah, I think we all need to use multiple tools and not just rely on one.
That's for sure. And I think that right now there are some of those aggregators that what they are trying to accomplish is really build like this one ecosystem where you actually can use just tools from one group, right? Right? But I don't know if it will be possible. Like there will be always a new problem and there will be always a new company to actually solve it. And I think it will be just impossible to like have this one company that solves it all, right? I mean, you have Helium, you have Jungle Scout, you have Carbon 6, I think Free Colts, like, and maybe there are some more. And I think they are all trying to accomplish that this one thing that, yes, we have all of the tools to solve all of your Amazon like business issues and like automate everything. But yeah, I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
think it will be possible.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We don't think there's going to be one tool that solves all the problems because there can't be. Things are changing
Hmm.
all the time, and software is always going to be lagging in some aspect or the other. So you're kind of relying on a software vendor to be on top of things and to catch up with the latest, new
Yeah.
releases, all the time changes, this, that. So you'll always have that problem of something or the other is out of sync. Um, or you might end up spending a lot of money just to get that all-in-one functionality, which is very
Yeah.
it's most people won't be able to afford it, right? So
Hmm.
what we have done right now is we're talking about this concept of data room. Data room is a place where our ads are basically ad data is pushed as time series into data room, and then we import uh, organic data with a different partner through like a pipe that brings
Hmm.
that organic data also into the data room. Then we also have other partners like Keepa API or other APIs that give you data about, price or keyword rank, things like that. We bring
Hmm.
all of that together into a data warehouse, which we're using BigQuery for. So BigQuery is a product by Google, and it is pretty much free. If
Yeah.
you know how to set up data room, and we help people basically set up data room. So if anybody in your audience is interested, they can reach out. The data room will help them connect all these data sources, and then they can build visualizations using Google Looker Studio, which used to be called Google Data Studio. And that's
Yeah.
the kind of model that we're promoting and following ourselves. And I think that is a more agile way of going about it than trying to align with one of the big players who has everything, which
Yeah.
is either going to be too expensive, or you have too many bells and whistles that you don't care for, or it's going to be uncustomizable, or it's going to be laggy, in features.
Yeah.
So you can take
You are
two of
absolutely
your,
right with this.
yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of requests actually just
Mm.
to build a very simple visualization tool. We also like released like a reporting solution for vendors,
Yeah.
just basically gathering all of the data from both APIs, like ASP API and Ads API, and aggregating it in a nice dashboards in a Power BI in a browser. It's like Looker Studio, as just you
Right,
said.
right,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I mean, simple is better than complex. This is like
Yeah.
something I always tell to our clients. So yeah, first I think go always and try to do solve the issues as simple as possible, and then once you are good there, try to look for more complex solutions.
Right. Yeah.
So but yeah, Ritu, that was really awesome. Thanks a lot. I think that was a very valuable session. And now for all of the listeners, like if you could just tell where people can find you, how people can maybe apply to your mastermind or try your tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you can search for me, my full name, Ritujava. So you can follow me there. You can also reach out to me there. And then if you're interested in our mastermind, the information is up on our website. So ppcninja.com. Actually, there's two PPC Ninjas, so don't confuse. There's another PPC Ninja that does Google Ads, and their website
Okay.
is something different. So just one word,
But you have the
ppcninja.com.
.com domain,
Yes,
right?
we have the .com domain.
That's great. That
Yeah,
I guess that was pretty expensive domain, right?
it was. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so yeah, so you can go to ppcninja.com, and then in the footer you'll see mastermind sign up. So you can go look for PPC Mastermind to sign up for that group. And then if you want to do a free trial of our software, in the right top corner, there's a sign up button. So you can actually go there and test it out. We give you a 14-day free trial for our ad software. And lots of agencies are using it. They love it. So I would highly recommend you try it out. And if you have any questions, definitely you can reach out to me or to our support team, support@ppcninja.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Ritu. I will make sure to include the links and information in the description of this podcast as well. So it's great to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so much, Jacob, for having me.
great. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.